Please be seated. Chancellor, President, members of Council, Registrar, Dean, heads of school, faculty, and most importantly, our graduates and your family and friends, you're all very welcome to the RCSI conferring ceremonies this morning. Before declaring open the ceremonies of RCSI and the National University of Ireland, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce the platform party. At the table to the front, on your right, is Dr. Maurice Manning, Chancellor of the National University of Ireland, and Mr. Kenneth Mealy, President of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. At the back of the platform, again, from your right, is Dr. Attracta Halpin, Registrar of the National University of Ireland, Professor Teresa Pawlikowski, Director of Health Professions Education at RCSI, Dr. Eva Doherty, Director of Human Factors in Patient Safety at RCSI, Ms. Judith Gilroy, Associate Director for Academic Affairs, RCSI, Ms. Anya Gibbons, Director of Development and Alumni Relations at RCSI, Professor Adrienne Flanagan, Honorary Doctorate recipient, Professor Hannah McGee, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at RCSI, Professor Niamh Moran, Head of the School of Postgraduate Studies, Professor David Smith, Director of the Healthcare Ethics and Law course at RCSI, Professor John O'Byrne, Director of the Master of Surgery MCH by Module at RCSI, Dr. Jenny Moffat, Educationalist in the Health Professions Education Centre in the College, and my name is Cathal Kelly, Chief Executive of RCSI. RCSI degrees are awarded under Irish legislation, and they're also degrees of the National University of Ireland. I'd now like to invite the graduates to stand as I call on the Registrar of the National University of Ireland, Dr. Attracta Halpin, to open the ceremonies.
Universitas Hiberniae Nationalis. Pre honorables cancellariae totaque universitas, haec comitia universitaria hodie convocata sunt, ut he mulieres maxime eximiae et he viri maxime eximii ad grados academicos admittantur. This is a meeting of the National University of Ireland for the purpose of conferring degrees and diplomas. The graduands will be presented by Professor Cathal Kelly, Chief Executive and Registrar of RCSI, and the degrees will be conferred by Dr. Maurice Manning, Chancellor of the National University of Ireland.
This is a meeting of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland for the purpose of conferring degrees and licentiates. I will present the graduates in my role as Chief Executive of RCSI, and the degrees will be conferred by Mr. Kenneth Mealy, President of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. I now declare open the conferring ceremony for the award of degrees of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. It gives me pleasure to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences at RCSI to come forward to lead you in the recitation of the Graduates' Declaration.
The RCSI Graduate Declaration, which you will recite together, is a commitment to the highest standards of professionalism and ethical practice in your career as taught during your studies here at RCSI. And it gives me great pleasure on this special day of your conferring to invite all of you graduates to recite together, after me, the declaration which is located on page 8 of your booklet. I acknowledge my position at the forefront of my field of learning and scholarship. I understand my responsibility to use this learning to contribute and lead in my community. I will maintain the utmost respect for human life. I will respect the confidential information that is entrusted in me. I will not permit considerations of age, disease or disability, creed, ethnic origin, gender, nationality, political affiliation, race, sexual orientation, social standing, or any other factor to interfere with my duties in my chosen profession. I will not use my knowledge to violate human rights and civil liberties, even under threat. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those in whose steps I walk and gladly share such knowledge with those that follow. I will promote high standards of practice, lifelong education, and research in the interests of human health. I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honour. Thank you.
Please be seated. I now present the graduate for the Postgraduate Certificate in Human Factors in Patient Safety for conferring. I'd like to ask the graduate to please be upstanding. Claire O'Regan? Oh, good. I now invite the Chancellor of the National University of Ireland to admit the graduate.
Ego auctoritatem mihi concessa, admitto vos ad certificationem post-baccalaureatum in educatione perhibenti ad officia sanitatis.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduate.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you a graduate of the Postgraduate Certificate in Human Factors in Patient Safety.
Dr. Eva Doherty, Director of Human Factors in Patient Safety at RCSI, will come to the lectern to introduce the graduate.
I will now call on Claire O'Regan to come forward to receive your parchment. And that concludes the conferment of Postgraduate Certificate in Human Factors in Patient Safety.
I now present the graduates for the Postgraduate Diploma in Health Professions Education for conferring. I'd like to ask the graduates to please be upstanding. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis has meas filias et hos meas filios, quos omnes ti tamnoribus quam doctrina habiles et aeneas esse que admitter ad diploma post baccalaureatum in educatione peribenti ad officia sanitatis, idique tibi fide mea testor, expondeo totaque academiae. I invite the Chancellor of the National University of Ireland to admit the graduates.
Ego auctoritatem mihi concessa, admitto vos ad certificationem post-baccalaureatus in educatione perhibenti ad officia sanitatis.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduates.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you graduates of the Postgraduate Diploma in Health Professions Education.
Dr. Jenny Moffat, educationalist in the Health Professions Education Centre at RCSI, will now introduce the graduates.
I will now call upon each graduate to come forward to receive your parchment. Saad Amir. Rosemary Clarkin. Judith Carpenter. Ryan Crawford. Michelle Cullinane. Terence Storr. Jennifer Dowling. Melanie Focking. Claire McCoy. Lisa Mellon. Frank Moriarty. Kerry O'Hare. Maria Purtle. Brian Riley. Christina Rudel Reshka. Ingmar Schoen. Erica Smith. And Aisling Walsh. The following candidates will be conferred in absentia today. If you're watching via the live stream, we wish you congratulations on your achievement. Marion Brennan, Aisling Kerr, Bethany Wong, Melanie Cunningham, Roisin Connolly, David Dunleavy, Simon Fernie, Mediha Iqtidar, Donata Lankaita, Jamie O'Sullivan, Tony Puvla-Cunnell, Niamh Quigley, and Kieran Redmond. That concludes the conferment of the Postgraduate Diploma in Health Professions Education.
For the award of the degree of Master of Surgery, MCH by module, I invite the graduates for the degree of Master in Surgery to be upstanding as I present you for conferring. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis hanc meam filium et hos meus filios, quos omni sitam moribus, quam doctrinae biles et aeneas esse quae admitter ad graduum magisterii in chirurgiae, idique tibi fide mea testor, expondeo totaque academiae. I invite the Chancellor of the National University of Ireland to admit the graduates.
Ego auctoritata mihi concesso admitto vos ad gradum magisterii in chirurgia.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduates.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you graduates of Masters of Surgery, MCH by module.
Professor John O'Byrne, Professor of Orthopaedic Surgery at RCSI, Director of the Master of Surgery by Module programme, will now come to the lectern to introduce the graduates for Master of Surgery.
I will now call on each graduate to come forward to receive your parchment. Al-Walid Abdelgadir. Mohammed Al-Azawi. Abba Khaled Farid Uddin. Ara Francis. Patrick Murta. Mark O'Reilly. Alexandra White. The following candidates will be conferred in absentia today. If you are watching via live stream, we wish you congratulations on your achievement. Owen Burke, Evan Fahy, Kevin Farrell, Nawar Knightley, Fiacre Power, Ryan Rupnari-Nessing. That concludes the conferment of the Masters of Surgery, MCH by module.
For the award of the degree of Master of Science, MSc, I invite the graduates for the degree of Master in Science, including for Healthcare Ethics and Law, to please be upstanding as I introduce you for conferring. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis has meus filius et os meus filios, quos omni sitam moribus, quam doctrinae biles et aeneas esse, quae admittor ad graduum magisterii scientiae, idique tibi fide mea testor, expondeo totique academiae. I invite the Chancellor of the NUI to admit the graduates.
Ego auctoritate mihi concessa, admitto vos ad gradum magisterii CNCA.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduates.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you graduates of Masters of Science.
Professor David Smith, Director of the MSc in Healthcare, Ethics and Law course at RCSI, will now come to the lectern and individually introduce the graduates for the Master in Healthcare, Ethics and Law.
Zeti Azvi, Tariq Bien, Serena Bennett, Sav Brangan, Daniel Cregan, Martina Duffy, Ola Finn, Florence Horseman Hogan, Karen Kelly, Maeve Lynn, Stephen McElroy, Natasha Mohammed Noor, Michelle O'Brien, Kerry O'Connor, Niamh O'Loughlin, Maura O'Neill, Claude O'Reilly, David Richardson, Kathusan Kaventerin, The following candidates will be conferred in absentia today. If you're watching via the live stream, we wish to congratulate you on your achievement. Aoife Campbell, Maria Kiley, Pamela Owens, Aisling Sherwin, and Elena Zidura. This concludes the conferment of the Masters in Science in Healthcare Ethics and Law.
I now invite Professor Niamh Moran, Head of the School of Postgraduate Studies at RCSI, to the lectern to introduce the graduates for Masters of Science, MSc.
I now call on each graduate to come forward to receive your parchment. Badria Ali. Clodagh Coman. And Sarah Drum. One candidate, Peter O'Donovan, will be conferred in absentia today. If he's watching via live stream, we wish him congratulations on his achievement. This concludes the conferment of Master of Science.
For the award of the degree of Doctor of Medicine, MD, I now present the graduates for the award of Doctor of Medicine. If I could ask the graduates to be upstanding. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis hasmeas filias et hasmeas filios, quos omnius sulim tam moribus quam doctrina habiles et Aeneas esse qui admitter ad graduum doctoratus in medicina, idique tibi fide mea testor, expondeo totaque academiae. I invite the Chancellor of the National University of Ireland to admit the graduates.
Ego auctoritata mihi concessa, admitto vos ad gradum doctoratus in medicina.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduates.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you graduates of the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
Professor Niamh Moran, Head of the School of Postgraduate Studies at RCSI, will now come to the lectern to introduce the graduates for Doctor of Medicine, MD.
I now call on the graduates to come forward to receive their parchments, and I will read the title of their thesis for which the award is being made. Patrick McCrossan, for his thesis entitled How does undergraduate teaching prepare graduates for the paediatric SHO role? Thomas McInerney for his thesis entitled Effects of Alpha-1 Antitrypsin on the Neutrophil Plasma Membrane Proteome. Matshidiso Makoko for her thesis entitled The Importance of Inhaler Adherence in Severe Asthma and its Relationship to Clinical Outcomes. One candidate will be conferred in absentia today. If she's watching via live stream, we wish to congratulate her. Her name is Roisin Connolly, and her thesis is entitled Investigating the Immune Response to Staphylococcus aureus Bloodstream Infection in Hemodialysis Patients. That concludes the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Medicine.
For the award of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, I now present the graduates for the award of PhD or Doctor of Philosophy. If I could ask the graduates to be upstanding. Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, presento vobis has meas filias et hos meas filios, quas omni si tam moribus, quam doctrina habiles in esse qui admittor ad graduum doctoratus philosophy, idique tibi fide mea testor, expondeo totaque academiae. I invite the Chancellor of the NUI to admit the graduates.
Ego auctoritate mihi concessa, admitto vos ad gradum doctoratus philosophiae.
I invite the President of RCSI to admit the graduates.
By virtue of my office of President, I admit you graduates of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Professor Niamh Moran, Head of the School of Postgraduate Studies at RCSI, will now come to the lectern and introduce the graduates for the award of Doctor of Philosophy or PhD.
I will now call on each graduate to come forward to receive their parchment, and I will read the title of the thesis for which the award is being made. Elena Bobby for her thesis entitled Responsive Polypeptide Containing Block Copolymers and Polymer Particles. Elizabeth Brindley for her thesis entitled Molecular Mechanisms of Biofluid MicroRNA Transfer in Human and Experimental Epilepsy. Danielle Canistrari for his thesis entitled Enantiospecific Preparation of Alkyl Phenyl Chlorides, Bromides, and Acetates via Sulfuranes. Edmund Gilbert for his thesis entitled The Genetic Structure and Landscape of Ireland Reveals Footprints of History. Faten Hassani for her thesis entitled Investigating the Correlation Between Job Satisfaction, Autonomy and Self-Efficacy Amongst School Nurses in Bahrain, a Mixed Methods Study. Padraig Hawkins for his thesis entitled Modulation of Neutrophil NADPH Oxidase Activity by Alpha-1 Antitrypsin. John Hayden for his thesis entitled The Role of Alpha-2 Agonists in Pediatric Critical Care Sedation. Dolores Keating for her thesis entitled How to Empower Professionals and the Public to Improve Mental Health Care, Exploring Educational Initiatives. Liam Mcdonough for his thesis entitled Material Development and Characterization of a Functionalized Biomaterial to Support Pancreatic Islet Viability. Oliver McIlvany for his thesis entitled Metabolic Reprogramming of the Cystic Fibrosis Neutrophil. Matthew Murphy for his thesis entitled Activation of the Resident Skeletal Stem Cell for Articular Cartilage Regeneration. Catherine Richards for her thesis entitled Exploring New and Emerging Mechanisms to Target Difficult-to-Treat Cancers. Daniela Rode for her thesis entitled Cognitive Impairment and Medication Adherence in Stroke. And Rebecca Watkin for her thesis entitled MIR333P dysregulation plays a critical role in disrupting the endothelial barrier during Staphylococcus aureus infection. We have two candidates who will be conferred in absentia today. If they're watching via live stream, we wish them congratulations in their achievements. They are Laura Fee for her thesis entitled Elucidating the Role of Complement Activation in the Pathogenesis of Alpha-1 Antitrypsin Deficiency, and John Lally for his thesis entitled Bone Health and Psychotic Disorders and Risk Factors for Decreased Bone Health in Established and Early Psychosis. That concludes the conferment of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy.
Pre honorabilis cancellariae, totaque universitas, ceremonies rite confectis, queso facias finem, huius convocationis universitariae. That completes the NUI conferring ceremony.
Firstly, congratulations to all our new graduates. We now move to the part of the ceremony which is the conferring of the award of Honorary Doctorate of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland. It gives me great pleasure to invite the 2019 Honorary Doctorate recipient, Professor Adrienne Flanagan, to take her place on the stage for the commencement of the Honorary Doctorate Award. RCSI established an Honorary Doctorate Award scheme in 2011 to recognise excellence and to provide an inspiration to you, our graduates, on your special day. The awardees are exceptional people who've made a difference in the world through education, research or service. We as RCSI staff believe that you, our graduates today, will also make a difference for good in the world. And we want, through hearing the stories of these exceptional people and their words, to inspire and to challenge you on this special day to go forth and make a difference. Now it gives me pleasure to invite the Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Sciences, Professor Hannah McGee, to introduce the Honorary Doctorate awardee, Professor Adrienne Flanagan, Fellow of the Royal College of Pathologists, Fellow of the Academy of Medical Science, Order of the British Empire OBE for Cancer Research, Academic Head of Pathology at the UCL Cancer Institute in London, Sector Investigator of the National Institute of Health Research, Honorary Consultant and Clinical Lead for the London Sarcoma Service and the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, President of the Pathological Society of Great Britain and Ireland, and Lead for Sarcoma Genomics England Clinical Interpretation Partnerships. The doctorate will be conferred by the President of RCSI, Mr. Kenneth Mealy.
President, it is with great pleasure that I introduce our candidate for the RCSI Honorary Doctoral Award, Professor Adrienne M. Flanagan. Professor Flanagan, as you've heard, is the National Institute for Health Research Senior Investigator, Head of Academic Pathology and Professor of Musculoskeletal Pathology at the University College London, Clinical Lead for the London Sarcoma Service and the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital and an RCSI alumnus. Professor Flanagan received her medical degree here from RCSI in 1981. She subsequently undertook a PhD at the University of London in 1990 while she was there as a Medical Research Council training fellow. And it was during this time she developed an interest in bone biology. She became a senior lecturer and consultant pathologist at Imperial College London before moving to University College London and the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital, further focusing on her bone cancer research. In 2004, Professor Flanagan was elected as Professor of Musculoskeletal Pathology, University College London, and in 2013 became head of the Research Department of Pathology at UCL Cancer Institute. Professor Flanagan is a distinguished researcher who has always emphasized the importance of collaborative research. She is president of the Pathological Society of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, and she leads the Bone Pathology Network for the UK. She has led many successful research studies, working closely with scientists, doctors, patients and their families, with the aim of improving the standard of care, of therapy, and ultimately of patient outcomes. Her research focuses on identifying the genetic alterations involved in the development and progression of bone and soft tissue tumours, and on translating those findings into clinical practice. From 2010 to 2015, Professor Flanagan was co-lead of the International Cancer Genome Consortium for Bone Tumours, carrying out some of the most successful and impactful research into bone cancer. It was during this time that Professor Flanagan's laboratory, with funding provided by the Bone Cancer Research Trust, generated osteosarcoma patient samples, which provided researchers with the samples and the data enabling significant research progression in the area of osteosarcoma. Her research has delivered major contributions in the treatment of inherited diseases and cancers, in particular the molecular classification for primary bone tumours, resulting in the introduction of diagnostic markers which are now used globally. Professor Flanagan's publication H-factor is 59. For non-scientists in the audience, this is a reflection of how many times a person's research papers have been referenced in other people's publications. 59 papers, each referenced at least 59 times, and many of us in the audience would be jealous of such a number. It is a measure of peer evaluation of the importance of this researcher's work, and as I said, 59 is a very enviable score, reflecting a very high level of peer referencing internationally of Professor Flanagan's research work. Over the course of her distinguished career, Professor Flanagan has received many accolades, including the Gaudy Medal for her contribution to pathological science and the understanding of disease mechanisms, and the William Gerard Award by the Department of Pathology, Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, New York, in recognition of her contribution to research in cancer pathology. In June 2017, she was awarded the Order of the British Empire, the OBE, for services to cancer research. A quote in the yearbook of the RCSI class of 1981 predicted this very successful career and her major contributions to cancer research. The quote went, "Her interest in medicine gives her the motivation necessary for her to be very successful in her future career." Adrienne, we are delighted to welcome you back to RCSI today, and indeed to this room where you sat some of your examinations as a very new building at the time. And we are very proud that you, as an RCSI alumnus and a most worthy candidate, have joined our special graduation ceremony here today to accept the highest academic honour of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, the Honorary Doctorate in Science. And I call on the President to make the award.
By virtue of my office of President, it gives me great pleasure to award you with the Honorary Doctorate of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland.
It now gives me great pleasure to invite our new RCSI Honorary Doctorate, Professor Adrienne Flanagan, from the RCSI class of 1981, to address our graduates, staff and guests on this very special occasion.
Mr. Kenneth Mealy, President of RCSI, Dr. Maurice Manning, Chancellor of the National University of Ireland, Dr. Attracta Halpin, Registrar for the National University of Ireland, and Professor Hannah McGee, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine and Health Science, RCSI. I want to thank you very much for the great honour that you've given me today. I left Ireland in 1983, and it's a great thing to be recognised by your own alma mater. I think it's innate for a child who wishes to be recognised by their parents in the same way when you leave your institution. You actually wish to be recognized by your institution. So for me, this is a very big thing. So thank you very much. But this day is about the graduates. Congratulations, all of you. And also just spare a thought for your parents and your families who actually supported you in many ways, I suspect. Without your support, many people wouldn't get through these degrees. So actually, you are all very special. You may not recognize this, because although you're, I don't know, a couple of hundred here in this room, the number of people overall in medicine and science that go forward and take a postgraduate degree is a very significant minority. So you actually are the future, and you are very special. You probably won't recognize the skills that you've acquired over the last few years. Namely, which is, I think, is most important, you've had time to mature. You have hopefully acquired how to dissect a scientific paper critically, analytically, that you're able to identify whether the design of a clinical trial or experiments were robust, whether there was any falsification or potential falsification, whether the statistics were robust. And this is a big responsibility, because in your roles, you will be asked to examine examinations or look at examinations. You'll be asked to read papers and review them, which will go on to publication. And these publications can have a huge impact globally. Just think back to 1989. Andrew Wakefield published his paper in The Lancet, claiming the association between the MMR vaccine and autism. That, of course, now has been shown not to be true, but that actually has resulted in loss of life and will continue to probably result in loss of life because of the very reduced numbers of people who are being vaccinated. So actually publishing papers and reviewing papers should not be done lightheartedly. what you do in your world does actually have, or could potentially have, significant impact. So during your last couple of years, during your doctorates, you actually will have acquired a huge amount of skills which you won't recognize, but you will recognize over the future years. And I think that this investment will stand to you. It'll stand to you because you will be able to not only read papers, but you will have the confidence in your knowledge to actually sometimes say, I don't understand. Please explain that to me. And once you keep saying that, you will continue to learn. Once you stop, if you don't admit that you don't know something, you will stop learning. So keep asking and be humble. So let me tell you a bit about my career. It sounded very smooth when it was being read out there. But let me tell you, I will just give you the highlights of the downturns in my career, which overshadow, actually, the successes. I did pathology. Well, first of all, I trained here as an undergraduate, and I eternally am grateful for the quality of the teaching that I received in RCSI. It really was second to none. So when I went to the UK, almost immediately after I qualified, I really felt that I could hold my own over there. And I think for all of you graduates here today, be confident that the education that you have received here is second to none that other people will have received around the world. And also, if you've trained in Ireland, you're generally recognized for your hard work, your good humor, and just generally becoming involved in society. So please carry that reputation on. Anyway, I did a PhD on a cell known as an osteoclast, which most of you won't know. It's the cell that eats bone, and you might say, why in God's name would you do that? A lot of these things is by chance, what you do your research in. But it was really one of the most exciting periods of my life, to actually get up in the morning and you'd plan your next experiment and you'd get the result. And I have to say, most of mine failed, my experiments. But never mind, because actually it was one of the hottest topics in biology at the time. What the people were trying to do was identify the growth factor that made osteoclasts grow. And it was a global effort, which I didn't win. It was won, actually, by a pathologist in Amgen, who serendipitously identified rank ligand, which is the growth factor for osteoclasts, purely by chance, looking at a different disease model. And of course, they have gone on, Amgen has gone on to develop the drug known now as denosumab, which is used for breast cancer metastasis, for osteoporosis. Anyway, that was where I started. But suddenly, when those papers came out, my whole world fell apart, because suddenly I had nothing to do. I had no more experiments to do. It had all been done. So what was I supposed to do? So I got myself a job, and I carried on, and I had great colleagues, and I got a few grants, and I wrote a few papers. But actually, I drifted through the next 7 years of my life, not really knowing what I was supposed to be doing. People did advise me as to what I should do, but I didn't listen. Nobody really sat me down and said, do this. But you don't have to do that. I just didn't listen. So I am a great advocate, as you all go forward now, to find yourself a mentor and discuss and to plan what you might do with your careers. Don't drift like I did. But it's, anyway, I woke up at the age of 40, and I remember the day, and I thought, my God, I have another 25 years to go. What am I going to do with myself? I was in a complete panic. Anyway, I decided I'd get a job, another job. And it so happened, it was a very exciting time. It was about 1998, 1999. The human genome was about to be published. We didn't know how many genes were in the genome, hugely exciting. And the other thing that was just on the highlight there was a very rare tumor known as a gastrointestinal stromal tumor. People had identified it had a genetic alteration known as c-KIT. And by chance, people recognized that there was a drug that could fit into this receptor, this molecule which was altered, and stop the cells growing. And it was the first targeted therapy that was brought about. It was just amazing. People with these tumors, they were given this drug and the tumors just melted away. Now, many of those tumors came back, but it just shows the power of targeted therapy. And I thought to myself, I can do this. I could somehow relate to this. But my problem was I had drifted for 7 years. I had no credibility. I hadn't really got any grants at this stage or publications. But a job came up, and there was a job which they wanted a bone tumor pathologist, and that was fine. So I knew about bone, but I didn't know about tumors. I didn't know anything about genomics, and I didn't really know about cancer. But anyway, I took the job. I don't think many other people knew more than I did. Anyway, I really had to begin at the bottom again. And so I had to, the cancers that I'm talking about are very rare. To put it into perspective, breast cancer, 55 new diagnoses of breast cancer are diagnosed in the UK per annum. Of sarcoma, there's not more than 2,000 diagnoses per year. But this center that I worked in actually had probably a third of all these rare cancers in the UK. So you've got to be where the action is. Don't go off and study bone cancer in the Hebrides. No point, right? Choose your place. Anyway, so I then went down onto the ward, but now remember, I'm a pathologist. I'm not supposed to go out to the lab. I'm supposed to be down in the mortuary or somewhere. So I took myself down onto the ward and started to talk to patients. And one of the surgeons came up to me and tapped me on, "Flanagan, get back into your box. You're a pathologist." So I thought, how dare he? But actually, then I had another thought about it, and he said, I thought actually it was the best thing that happened to me. A little bit of a slap across the face. I woke up and I thought I failed to communicate with my colleagues what I was going to do. And so I didn't make that mistake again. It's very important to tell people and to collaborate and to communicate. Anyway, that's really my story. And it took a long time to collect the samples. The human genome was published. And we have gone on with many colleagues. And I think one of the things I did right towards the end of my career was to choose really good collaborators. It's like choosing a mentor. Don't choose a mentor who can't mentor you, right? I'll give you an example of choosing a mentor. I had a young trainee, and she was very bright, and she said, I want to do a project on X. And she said, I found this person who's going to help me. And I said, who's this person? And she showed me her name, and I said, I don't know that person, but why would I? But I Googled her. She's an excellent doctor, but she spent all her time in Harley Street. She wasn't going to be directing research for this trainee. So although this young trainee had taken the initiative to find somebody who would look after her, you don't go down to Harley Street to get somebody to advise you on research. Right, there's horses for courses. Anyway, 15 years after I woke up or so on that, when I was 40 years of age, you look back, these things don't happen overnight. It takes a decade. You need a 5 or 10-year plan really to make anything happen in science. So take the long view and make the investment. And don't keep looking at your CVs to see how many papers you have every year. Do that every 5 years or so, because actually then you have a landscape. And you have something that you can work on and you can be proud of. So take the long view. So I would just like to finish by first of all thanking my parents and my family, who I wouldn't have been gone through medical school or done any of this without them. But also, I have to change tack now. If we go back 150 years ago, Nature, the journal, was published for the first time. And there was an article 100 years ago in Nature, and it talked about prevention, cause, and early diagnosis. And it was talking about all the great advances that had been made by Pasteur, and we were just seeing all of, and Lister, and all of the great changes in terms of controlling infection in that century. And this article was saying, well, with all these great advances, we now have more problems. Finding the cause, prevention, and early detection. If you actually go to the Cancer Research UK website, it's exactly the same. Cause, early detection, and prevention is what they're still trying to raise money for. So things haven't changed in some ways, but in other ways it has. People, of course, are living longer, but the biggest thing that has changed in terms of medicine and science is people's expectations. But actually what we're all striving for is not terribly different from 100 years ago. So thank you very much, and the best of luck in your careers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Flanagan. Thank you in a way for lending us your microscope into the life of a cutting-edge clinical translational researcher, and congratulations on your well-deserved award. It now gives me great pleasure to invite Dr. Daniela Rode to come forward and deliver the valedictory address on behalf of the graduating class.
Good afternoon, everybody. Distinguished faculty, distinguished guests, family and friends, and of course, my fellow graduates. I am honoured and humbled to speak to you today on behalf of the class of 2019. Graduating today are students from the Postgraduate Certificate in Human Factors and Patient Safety, the Postgraduate Diploma in Health Professions Education, the Postgraduate Diploma in Urology and Gerontology, the Master of Surgery and Master of Science programs, the MSc in Healthcare Ethics and Law, Doctor of Medicine, and Doctor of Philosophy. I would like to start by congratulating all of you on your outstanding achievements. I started my own PhD as part of a structured program with a cohort of other students, and I always joked that our journeys resembled that of Frodo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings. For the first year we had classes together, we learned together, we supported each other. We presented our proposals in front of an academic panel, our Council of Elrond. And although there were times when all I wanted to do was toss my work into the fiery depths of Mount Doom, in reality, of course, when I got to the end, my thesis was welcomed by the unfailingly supportive elves at the School of Postgraduate Studies. And while a PhD can at times feel like a lonely quest, research and education would not be possible without teamwork and collaboration. We would not be here today without the help and support of our teachers and supervisors in RCSI, who have encouraged us, who have helped us to learn and discover, and to grow into the people we are today. To my own supervisors, Professor Anne Hickey, Professor Kathleen Bennett, and Professor David Williams, thank you. And our work would not be possible without the support of our funding bodies, or our patients and research participants, who give so kindly and generously of their time, often at a time when they are themselves unwell. To our colleagues, mentors, and peers in RCSI and the wider health and research communities, our families and friends, without your support, none of this would be possible. And to those who are sadly no longer with us, your memory shapes and lives on in the work that we do. While all of us graduating today came to RCSI from different backgrounds and with different experiences, we came here with a shared purpose and vision, encapsulated by RCSI's mission to educate, nurture, and discover for the benefit of human health. While our fields of study might be varied, our common goal as researchers, educators, clinicians, and healthcare leaders is to enable people to live long and healthy lives. And we leave RCSI today with the knowledge and skills to do just that. You are the healthcare, scientific, and research leaders of tomorrow. Once again, congratulations on your achievements. I will leave you with two quotes. The first by J.K. Rowling. We do not need magic to change the world. We carry all the power we need inside ourselves already. We have the power to imagine better. And the second by Marie Curie. We must have perseverance and above all, confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. Let us not only imagine better, Let us go out into the world and make it happen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniela, for your generous comments, and congratulations once again on your PhD award. It now gives me great pleasure to invite the President of the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland, Mr. Kenneth Mealy, to address us.
Cathal, thank you. So, welcome to Chancellor, National University of Ireland, Registrar, National University of Ireland, Chief Executive RCSI, Dean of RCSI, academic staff, ladies and gentlemen, and especially to our new Masters in Science and Surgery and Doctors in Medicine and Philosophy, and those receiving certificates and diplomas in health professionals education and human factors and patient safety. And last but not least, our Honorary Doctorate, Professor Adrienne Flanagan. And I can assure you, Professor Flanagan, despite your little run-in with surgeons over the last number of years, as a College of Surgeons, we warmly welcome you here today. One of the greatest pleasures of my job is to over these conferring ceremonies and welcome all of you and your families here. This ceremony is a fitting recognition of all the hard work that you've carried out over the last number of years. And I think all the platform party, RCSI and NUI staff understand the academic commitment and focus that's required to be awarded an RCSI postgraduate degree, diploma or certificate. Postgraduate awards of the Royal College of Surgeons are prestigious, internationally recognised qualifications. Holding one of these qualifications demonstrates to colleagues, peers and employers a doctor or a scientist's knowledge, clinical and technical skills and commitment to his or her practice. These qualifications also recognise your ability to use your intellectual knowledge and critical thinking in the clinical, laboratory and administrative setting, skills that will be vital if you're to have a successful professional career. Your qualifications also open a world of wonderful opportunity as you set out on an exciting intellectual journey of lifelong discovery, which will allow you to continue your training and practice in many different specialties worldwide. And we hope that the education that you've received here in RCSI will instill in you a sense of curiosity about not only medicine and the health sciences, but also the world at large. And it is this which will not only enrich your life, but will allow you to contribute to society in a meaningful way. Today we acknowledge your families who have supported you during your years of training and practice, and we understand those who have made sacrifices to support your career, and rightly are also proud of your achievements to date. Medicine and the health sciences, however, face many challenges, and it is certain that many of you will work in increasingly complex health science environments where you will need to use all the skills that you have gained during your training. Doctors, nurses and scientists of the future will need to be adaptive to the constant expansion of medical and scientific knowledge, changes in technology, as you've already heard, increasing patient and societal expectations, in addition to regulatory changes, all of which will require a commitment to lifelong learning and an ability to adapt to the changing world that we live in. And the awards presented here today will give you a solid foundation to continue on this exciting journey. As you've also heard from Daniela, increasingly there will be an emphasis on teamwork, which requires the ability to communicate effectively, demonstrate leadership, and acquire an understanding of the workings of the management and the administrative systems in which you work. Into the future, professional and ethical issues facing health science professionals will only increase as the scientific and medical complexity within the world that we live in becomes even more complex. For example, in science, developments in CRISPR technology and human genome editing offers huge potential in treating diseases unimaginable in the past, but clearly this throws up profound ethical challenges for all societies. Additional challenges within science is the erosion of truth and the promotion of so-called alternative facts touted in support of various social and political agendas. And it's up to all of us to be advocates for true facts as we understand them and to engage with a skeptical public. And again, from our honorary doctorate, as you've already heard, social policies, for instance, supporting vaccination programs and issues such as tackling global warming, can only be unequivocally addressed in this manner. These are just a few of the examples where we need clear leadership from the scientific and medical communities. In medicine, last year's Scally report into the open disclosures failure within the cervical screening programs questioned the communication and administrative skills of all clinicians who work in difficult clinical environments. And this controversy still resonates within Irish society, and while it questions the medical legal standards underpinning screening services, it has undermined societal trust in cancer screening services. Open disclosure is a professional responsibility for all doctors when things go wrong in patient care. Within medicine, it is also becoming increasingly apparent that no healthcare system can fully support all the healthcare needs of society. So it is important to be an advocate, not for only each patient you may encounter, but it's also important to understand the broader societal needs of the communities you will work in and use the resources at your disposal carefully. However, despite the challenges facing medicine and the health sciences throughout the world, the basis of all patient care is empathy, which is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Unfortunately, however, the commercialization of medicine, the medical legal environment, and new IT technologies can hinder expressions of empathy and harm the doctor-patient relationship. However, empathy must be the basis of all our practice, even when working in difficult environments, and it is this which makes the professions we represent so rewarding. Today is also the time to acknowledge the commitments of the teachers and trainers who taught and supported you over the last number of years. Their endeavours have given you the skills to practice, which will allow you to make a significant contribution to the well-being of the communities in which you work. RCSI is rightly proud of our commitment to developing healthcare leaders who make a difference worldwide, and this is our ambition for all of you. Today we graduate a total of 99 doctors, nurses and scientists with postgraduate certificates and diplomas in health professions, education and human factors and patient safety, master's degrees in science and surgery, and doctors in medicine and philosophy. You will all add to the growing body of RCSI graduates and alumni who practice around the globe, and we look forward to your contribution to the other 19,000 RCSI alumni and graduates who work in just under 100 countries and who are making a difference worldwide and who we are all so proud of. So finally, let me again congratulate all our graduates and acknowledge the support of your families. I also wish you every success in your personal and professional lives, and I am confident that the awards you have received today will equip you well for the challenges you will encounter in your further training and future careers. So thank you.
Thank you, President. It now gives me great pleasure to invite a great friend of RCSI's, the Chancellor of the National University of Ireland, Dr. Maurice Manning, to address the guests.
President, Vice President, Registrar, Dean, colleagues, graduates, ladies and gentlemen, but most of all, you, our new graduates. As Chancellor of the National University of Ireland, I'm, as always, delighted to be here in the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland for this morning's ceremony. In our ceremony today, the focus is on academic achievements of a high order, and I'm delighted to welcome those who are graduating with postgraduate certificates and diplomas, graduating with master's degrees and doctorates, graduating all as graduates of the National University of Ireland. My warmest congratulations to you all. This is the first of 4 conferring ceremonies over the course of today and next Monday. The continuing growth of RCSI, the increasing diversity and international reputation of its programs, and the incredible and wonderful enhancement of its campus is truly impressive. The NUI unhesitatingly endorses the quality of the postgraduate education and training you have received at RCSI, which is a valued member of the Federal University. In fact, the connection between the NUI and RCSI is strong, going back to 1977. And as graduates, you will now benefit through your professional careers, whether in Ireland or elsewhere in the world, from the international reputations both of RCSI and of the National University of Ireland. I am continually impressed by the range of academic programs and specializations that RCSI offers at postgraduate level. A growing postgraduate offering signals that RCSI is able both to anticipate and to respond swiftly to specialist healthcare education and training needs. The increase in the number of PhDs awarded testifies to the research and practice-based reputation of RCSI's faculty and staff and the quality of your research and development facilities. I understand that this year saw the highest number of PhDs to date in nursing in RCSI, which I think is worthy of special mention. I commend RCSI for what it is doing in expanding the range of opportunities for students at postgraduate level. As has been said by our honorary graduate today, academic study and research at postgraduate level are demanding and intensive activities. We know that very often the students are combining their studies with employment as well, and may also well be caring for families at home. So to complete your studies has required determination and stamina, in addition to the necessary intellectual capacity. For all of these qualities and for your sustained academic efforts, some over the past year, others over several years, you deserve very great credit, and I applaud your achievements and I congratulate you warmly. I acknowledge particularly the achievements of those who have completed doctorates, which is really the ultimate academic achievement. You have engaged in sustained study and research over several years. You have created valuable new knowledge. Particularly in the health sciences, advances in knowledge can lead to improvements in diagnosis, in treatment, or in care to the considerable benefit of those on the receiving end of the health services. Now, criticism of the Irish Health Service is a constant in today's media. Yet there is very little public acknowledgement of the great advances being made in the knowledge and skill levels of those working in the health services, of the commitment that is apparent from healthcare professionals working to develop their skills and expanding their knowledge, and very little public awareness of the improvements that are made based on new research. A ceremony such as this today, a happy ceremony, gives me the opportunity to proclaim loudly that tremendous things are happening in the health services and that the capacity for innovation, improvements in quality and standards of practice is constantly being enhanced through the contributions of new graduates. How to get that story across to the wider public, to the politicians, but most of all to the baying media is a real challenge, one that has not as yet been successfully surmounted. It is a challenge, but we must continue to try to get the reality of the good things, the positive things that are happening in healthcare. For the National University of Ireland, as an institution committed to the advancement of learning and the expansion of knowledge, postgraduate study and research is highly valued. Study at this level usually focuses on in-depth interrogation and analysis of theoretical foundations. Increasingly difficult and complex material and ideas, conflicting evidence, sifted and brought to conclusions, and the capacity to reconcile all of this with the day-to-day realities of healthcare in a wide range of settings. Life in contemporary society calls for these kind of capabilities, Technological advancement today is giving rise to complex issues for society, which simply did not arise for earlier generations. Universities today have a responsibility for generating the capacity in society to ventilate those issues in all their complexity and enable well-founded choices to be made. The continued development of postgraduate education in Ireland brings with it important gains for Irish society, over and above the immediate gains for the professional activity of concerned. So, on behalf of the National University of Ireland, I welcome those conferred this afternoon into the postgraduate ranks of the university. I wish you continued success and professional fulfilment. I hope that throughout your lives you will continue to maintain the common bond you now share with the community of NUI graduates, a community that is sustained through a spirit of kinship with fellow graduates across social and professional contexts. It's especially great to see friends and family here today to share in the celebration. They have supported you in many different ways, and of course, they are rightly bursting with pride at your latest achievements. They should feel, and I know they do, and I know that you see them as being entitled to a full share in the celebrations, and they will also perhaps experience a sense of relief at the completion of your efforts. So I want to express my particular admiration for this morning's honorary graduate, Professor Adrienne Flanagan. Her extensive work in cancer research, in particular the study of soft tissue and bone tumours, has been a game changer and is helping to transform the treatment of inherited diseases and cancers. I have no doubt that the research undertaken by Professor Flanagan and her colleagues, that this will continue to give hope to the many patients facing a cancer diagnosis and will ensure better outcomes for them and their families. For today's graduates who have already begun to focus and pursue specific areas of research, Professor Flanagan offers inspiration and motivation and gave some very, very good advice here this morning. My sincere congratulations to you, Professor Flanagan. One slightly personal and irrelevant note before I finish. You might think that the job of handing out degrees and shaking hands with people is sort of a harmless enough sort of occupation. But I met a student of mine, a former student of mine last week, who said, "Hey, your photograph is on Tinder." I, at this stage, didn't know what Tinder was. My family informed me, but then he explained to me that some previous graduate here had sent in her graduation photograph to Tinder with me standing beside her. But I don't know if the phone rings when you appear on Tinder or what happens, but it hasn't happened yet. So anyway, for the President, the Registrar, and all the staff at RCSI, the conferring of new cohorts of graduates with qualifications of the highest level is an occasion for pride in the achievements of the college in medicine, pharmacy, and the health services, and a cause for celebration. So on behalf of the National University of Ireland, I congratulate all involved and wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chancellor. As they say nowadays, fake news. That concludes the RCSI degree conferring ceremonies. To mark a close to the ceremony, I would like to invite you, our new graduates, to please be upstanding again. If I could ask you to turn to face the audience and join me in a round of applause acknowledging the contributions your family, friends, academics and supporters have made in allowing you to achieve your high achievement. I'd like to invite you, our graduates, and your family and friends to join us for refreshments after the conferring in the College Hall. College staff will be in hand outside the room to escort you to the reception. And once again, sincere congratulations on your achievement. If everybody could please be upstanding for the outward procession. Thank you.